Welcome to Excel CS101, day 25. We're working in Excel, project 2, part 2. We're pretty much done with Excel 2, but in order to work on that, I wanted to review a few things that we did inside of there and add an extra thing we're going to be doing. And I have to find Excel here. Let's just start it up from the command line. Look for Excel. Come on, Excel, where are you? My PC is just really slow right now. Finally, go into my EX2 project. But I'm going to jump to an extra worksheet. Go ahead and start a new worksheet to practice this little activity here to practice your skills at conditional formatting, a thing called absolute reference, and just having a little fun with some charts. So in the upper left corner, I'm going to put in a 0.2, and in cell A2, I'm going to put the number 1. Nothing exciting there. And here I'm going to put 0. In this cell, now it's going to get exciting. I'm going to put the cosine function, COS, of that number that's next to it in B1. A relative reference to the number to the left of that cell. If I hit enter right now, it automatically puts a right parentheses. So if you're tired of typing right parentheses at the very end, you don't have to. Just skip them and Excel will put them in there for you. Never hurts to know. You can save your finger fatigue. This one, I'm going to put the ever so popular sine function. Again, of that number that's over there in cell B1 and hitting enter. Oh, but I forgot something. I want to multiply B1 by the number I see over here in A2. And this is where we bring in the infamous sticky bit. It's called the sticky bit. And the way I put that in there is I can either type a $sign or hit the F4 key, F4, and it puts a sticky bit next to the A and next to the 2. Think of this as a letter S with goo dripping down it. That little line is not just a line. It's goo, sticky, ooey goo. That's making the S not change when I copy my formula. And the sticky to the left of the 2 is making the 2 all sticky, and it will not change as I copy this formula. Remember, the operative word here is copy. When I want to copy the formula, sticky bits matter. If I am simply making one formula, I don't have to worry about sticky bits. This is also known as an absolute reference. What I'm saying is when I copy this formula down multiple rows, I'm always referring to the number in A2. B1 will change. I'll be multiplying by a different number. But A2 will stick to what it's pointing to. A2. Absolute reference. Now, I want this number to be this number incremented by that number. And as I copy that formula down, I always want it to be incrementing by what's in that number, or what's in that cell. So I put sticky bits around the A1. And just a little secret here, the only sticky bit that matters here is the 1. Because I'm not copying my formula to the right, I'm planning to copy my formula down and making it stay at referencing cell A1 is the most important thing. But it doesn't hurt to have the stickies on both. There will be a problem when we'll be doing stickies on one or the other, and it will make a difference. But that's only when I'm copying a formula in multiple directions. Now I'm ready to copy these formulas down, And might as well copy these three together because I'm going to go all the way down, copying it all the way down to row 32. Don't go too far here. I'm going to copy it all the way down to row 32. And 32 is special because when I get there, I'm at 6.2, which is about 2 times that wonderful number called pi. All right, so now I have some numbers in there. So far, this is just a little generating a sine and cosine function. You can think of this column as the angle goes from 0 to about 2 pi. Well, let's conditionally format everything in column C, just to practice our conditional formatting. Everything in column C, I want to make red when it's negative. I want to turn it red when it's negative. So that's when something in here is less than 0, turn it red. And red, by turning it red, I mean make the background a reddish color. So here's how we do that. Conditional formatting on the Home tab. Choose New Rule. Format only cells that contain. And change it from between to less than. And negative means less than 0, so I'm just typing in a 0 here. That is the condition. Now the format, when that condition is satisfied, is a fill of any of these red colors. I'm going to choose a pinkish color. Kind of looks like salmon pink on my screen. Now if I click OK, I will see, as I roll the mouse or zoom out, I will see anytime the numbers are negative there in that column, I have a red background. Let's do the same thing on column D. And notice, even though I didn't put anything in these, if I ever type a negative number, since I applied this to the entire column C, if I put a negative number anywhere, it'll automatically have a pink background. Let's do the same thing to column D. I could have done that the two columns together, but I wanted you to have a little more practice. Now you do it. Select column D, conditionally format, New Rule, format only cells that contain, cell value less than 0, that's the definition of negative, and format, choose a pinkish color. I could just as well have made the font a pink color. Any formatting that I do here will apply when that condition is satisfied. And I click OK, and I'll see the sine function goes negative at different times. If I ever want to review what the rule is, whether I do have the correct rule or I want to change it because it's not coming out right, I can always go to Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules. And there I see the rule that I had. If it's messed up, I could delete it and start over, or I could edit the rule and change what's going on here. Notice Excel put a little =0 there for me. If I'm happy with the rule the way it is, I can just cancel and close the managing the rules. This is what I do when I grade your project, by the way. To see that you've done the conditional formatting, I go to the cells that should have it, and I do manage rules to see that it is there. If you have extra rules, so if you have a problem, remember, you don't have to add another rule. If you have already added a rule to it, or if you want to see whether someone put a rule in it, you can just go manage rules. Okay, enough of that. Let's do a fun little graph now. Remember our graphing, our inserting charts? Let's do a chart here of column C and D from row 1 down to row 32. And I have those selected. Now I'm going to do an insert of a chart, a scatter chart. Remember your XY plots that you were doing in geometry and math all those years ago? Scatter charts are basically plots of the two columns XY, and as you might expect if you're at all love geometry like I do, you can see that I should get a circle coming out because as I increase my angle around the circle, the cosine function is the x, the sine function is the y on the circle, what they call the unit circle of radius 10. So I'm going to put here in my title, Geometry. Because this is just a silly chart, I can call it that. Now back to those numbers that I was putting over here. Watch what happens as I change how much my angle changes. If I change that to 0.4, it's gone around the circle twice because my numbers have increased more quickly. That's not very interesting. Let's go back to 0.2. Let's change this though. Let's change how much the sign gets multiplied. Let's change that from a 1 to a 2, and my chart changes into a little bow tie because my sine is changing more rapidly than my cosine because it's sine of that number times the, I'll treat this as the angle. Let's make that a 5. Going crazy. The sine is wiggling a lot faster while the cosine is gently going up and down around to the right and left. And let's go a 4. Get a little more. And if I want to change that chart into more smooth lines, I'll get a more nice looking little, what they call Lissajous figures. We used to do these all the time in college. We would actually get these figures from electrical signals. It was so much fun. That's why I love math, because when you're processing signals on computers and in electronic devices, you're dealing with a lot of these functions, and it's just so exciting. And I can tell you're excited too. So we'll stop there before you get too excited. Reviewing our salary report, I think the only thing left to do is make sure you have your tab down here named and colored. So I rename it to salary report, and then after entering the name, then I can right click tab color and choose my tab color. Anything else in the book there, I think, was just having to do with printing this out. Let's see here. This sales tax and federal tax are a little shrunken in. I'm going to select those two columns and double click to make sure they fit nicely. Fit a little better there. It adjusted automatically. Might as well. Let's just make everything fit nice. I'm going to just select everything and double click. There we go. Fits it the way the computer likes it to fit, and that's the important thing. All right. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but that's all we did today because we had a quiz. So be sure to do quiz number 3, and then have a wonderful day.